Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Football Fan Show podcast. Callum Brown is my guest. I'm Danny Harrington as we sit down and discuss the biggest topics of the week in football. First of all, though, I want to apologise for some of the sound quality here. My mixer decided to mess up, so there is an awful lot of popping during this podcast today, so apologies for that. I'll get it sorted for our last one next week. Topics today include the Champions League, Manchester United's exit. We will be talking about what's happened at Millwall because we missed a podcast last week because of them just being ill. So we missed that, and we're going to be talking about PSG and Istanbul-Başakşehir. What the beep happened there? What the fuck happened there? We'll find out in a bit. And we will also talk about Real Madrid, Barcelona, about finances at Barcelona, talk about Celtic as well, and Rangers. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Shall we do that now? Shall we talk about it? Since we talked about Manchester, shall we talk about the Champions League midweek? It has been very good for British clubs in the Champions League, I will say, because we have three English teams in the last 16 of the Champions League. Can one of them win it? Liverpool are one of those teams. Man City are the other one. Chelsea are the other ones. And who are the ones that got knocked out? It escapes me. I try not to hold on to useless information. Just like their performance. I watched that game. It was dire.
It was funny.
We might as well go through our Champions League predictions as well, because we'll look at the groups and the group tables as well. I think we got it pretty accurate. Go on.
Man United started the match with a back five and two defensive midfielders. Within 13 minutes, you were 2-0 down. Just let that settle in everyone's minds.
I know. Right, let's finish off the Champions League then. Bayern Munich got a 2-0 win against Lokomotiv Moscow. Salzburg lost 2-0 at home to Atletico Madrid. No surprises there. This is the one I'm really disappointed by. Group B, Inter Milan 0, Shakhtar Donetsk 0. Both those teams are out. I wanted Shakhtar to get through. They deserved it after beating Real Madrid twice.
The thing is, that result means Shakhtar going to the Europa League. Inter Milan are knocked out.
I mean, Inter are just... I saw somebody put on Twitter, well, that's what happens when you fill your team with ex-Manchester United players.
Yep.
They are the meme that keeps on giving Manchester United. And then somehow, he's got his team through, and they've even won the group. How has that happened? Real Madrid 2, Borussia Mönchengladbach 0. Still going to get sacked, Zizi. Still going to get sacked.
You're hoping for Zizou to be knocked out.
I wanted him sacked, man. I wanted him sacked. Group C.
You hate every manager to take charge of Real Madrid.
No, I didn't dislike Fabio Capello.
The one out of every other manager, Fabio Capello.
Who else didn't I? I can't really remember who's managed. Oh, I thought the Lopetegui got a raw deal at Real Madrid because he's now proved himself at Sevilla. So that's another one. I'm just trying to think who else has managed them because they seem to go through. They seem to pick out their managers like people Christmas shopping, go through the Argos catalogue. They're like, oh, we'll have him. Okay, 3 months later, okay, we'll send him back and have him. Okay, then we'll have him. Have him. I mean, they're like the ultimate one-night stand. You know, when you're drunk in a club and you're just like, it's...
Yeah.
Real Madrid are that drunk guy that's trying to find a girl to hook up with in a nightclub at the end
of
that closing time.
Go for anyone.
Yeah, pretty much. Hence why they're currently enjoying sloppy seconds with Zinedine Zidane. I am a disgrace. Group C, Man City 3, Marseille 0, Olympiacos 0, FC Porto 2. Group D, Ajax 0, Atalanta 1, which means Ajax are into the Europa League, which is disappointing, but Atalanta are through into the last 16 because they were the kind of standout story of last season's Champions League. Midtjylland 1, Liverpool 1. The game that started on Tuesday, that finished Wednesday, we'll get into it. PSG 5, Istanbul Başakşehir 1. Tuesday's games: Chelsea 1, FK Krasnodar 1, Rennes 1, Sevilla 3, Lazio 2, Club Brugge 2, Zenit 1, Borussia Dortmund 2. Did you see the Borussia result today?
Yeah, 5-1.
5-1 to Stuttgart. They lost
at home.
Jeez.
At home.
They lost.
What's his name? Lucien Favre. He's going to be sacked.
Yeah, he's not. I mean, they lost to Lazio in the Champions League, didn't they? So
yeah.
I
think they're still through. I think.
They still went through. I
think the group leaders, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have a look at the tables in a minute, but yeah, I think they did win it by the group. The game in Group G that made me very happy: Barcelona 0, Juventus 3. If I'm going to hate on them, it's going to be Real. You can't say I'm biased against Real Madrid. I just dislike their manager. Barcelona, I can't stand them. I dislike Real and Barcelona in both equal measure. You can't accuse me of bias.
I think Ronald Koeman's a good manager.
Oh, come on. No, he's not. He's a good manager if you're Southampton. He's a good manager if you're Everton, that are mid-table. But he's not Barcelona material.
I said I like him. I didn't say he's a world-class man.
All right.
I think he's a nice guy. I'm allowed to like...
So is Ole, but he's useless.
No, I don't like Ole at all. To be honest, I just want to do a Gollum impression in front of him all the time.
Every time they win, he just goes into the dressing room and goes, "My precious." 3 points, my precious.
Just going back to that Barca Juve match. Honestly, I see people saying, "Oh yeah, it's meant to be a heavyweight titan Ronaldo against Messi. Who's going to turn up?" And I'm like, people saying, "Oh yeah, Ronaldo like outshone Messi." And I'm like, well, not really. Ronaldo scored 2 penalties, so he was clinical. I
mean, yeah, he was gifted 2 goals.
But Messi had 7 shots on goal just himself.
Yeah. Messi did not have a bad game despite not scoring.
Buffon just went back in time 20 years when he's in his prime. So can't say much about that.
It was a good game, man. I thought who I thought had a good game? Aaron Ramsey for Juventus played pretty well.
That's surprising.
He played pretty well, Aaron Ramsey for Juve. I thought he played quite well. So
you wouldn't really think of it.
Yeah, I know. You'd be like, oh, really, Aaron Ramsey? Dynamo Kiev won, Fenerbahce 0. Oh yeah. I mean, he's still good. I still think Aaron Ramsey's a good player, but he's just not a top tier player. He's just below that. I'm surprised Everton haven't signed him. Put it that way. Like that kind of club. And then finally, we end on the greatest result of them all, which brings us to our next talking point. RB Leipzig 3, Manchester United 2. I predicted Manchester... Okay, so the only thing I got wrong in my Champions League predictions were the positionings of certain clubs. So Group A, Bayern Munich and Atletico, we both got right. We kind of knew it. Group B was... I think... Did you go from... obviously, we both went for Madrid, but I think I went with Milan, and I think you went with Mönchengladbach.
Did I get it right then? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
If I
City
did,
and Porto, we both predicted that. Liverpool and Atalanta, we both kind of predicted that.
Did you say that?
I think so. Yeah, because I didn't go with Ajax. Unless you...
Yeah, it might be. It was between Atalanta and Ajax. That's what we were saying.
I think we called it too tough to call. I think Group E was easy for us to call. That was Chelsea and Seville. And then I think Group F, Borussia Dortmund finished top, Lazio second. We kind of thought, it'd be between Lazio and Bruges for second spot. Although we did not realise how much Borussia Dortmund would struggle. And then Group G, I think we may have got the group winners in the wrong order. Juventus top, Barcelona second, or we may have...
Yeah.
But I know that I definitely got this... Well, I nearly got this right.
We definitely did say Man United's not going through.
Yes, we definitely did say that.
So me and you made...
Yes.
You know...
Yeah. PSG finished top of Group H. RB Leipzig in second place. Now, the bit I got wrong is that I was, arrogant enough to suggest that Istanbul Başakşehir could finish third. Because I was feeling cocky and confident. And I was right when they beat them.
I put Man United to finish third.
Yeah, and they did finish third. I remember just having a joke at their expense by saying, I could see Başakşehir finishing third and Manchester United finishing bottom. I was when they beat them, I was kind of like, oh yeah, that'd be. Yeah. What if they completely collapsed? And I was right. They did completely collapse. Moving on. Then that's the Champions League done and dusted. So Manchester United bringing us nicely to our first talking point. I know you're a Liverpool fan, but try and hold in your inner bias and wanting Ole to continue because he's made Manchester United a bit of a joke. Yeah. Should United ditch Ole?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're both in agreement. I don't really know why they're keeping him at this point. I really don't understand.
Because Ole is a yes man, and the Glazers don't want someone who wants to make their own decisions. Yeah, they want someone who'll say, because what they want to do, they're the kind of club, right? A bit like Arsenal, where if they're out the top four, they'll go, we'll spend a bit of money, a bit of investment to get ourselves in top four, get that Champions League money, and then go, well, we want that money now, so we got Champions League, we're not going to spend any more money. So when like with Jose Mourinho, when they got on Champions League, he was like, I need money, I need players. And they were like, no. And then what happens? He got sacked. Because players weren't doing well enough. So what's happened with Ole is that he'll do terrible. And when it feels like, right, this is it now, he'll pull something out of the bag. And that's happened for how long's it been now? 18 months, 2 years?
That's what happened after the Istanbul game, to be fair.
I mean, that was
and after that Tottenham thrashing as well. Yeah, to pull that. They're not
going to get rid of him. I'd say the very earliest you're going to look at the end of the season.
I messaged you before the game because obviously we had the Pogba stuff beforehand. Yeah. And I watched his pre-match interview and I just went, you have shown me every sign that you are because the way he approached it was like, I don't know what happened. I'm not a Manchester United insider. I don't know if behind the scenes he was absolutely screaming at Paul Pogba, because that's what I would have done. But I would have publicly come out and denounced it, and would have called the agent an idiot. But what I saw was, he tried to kind of brush it under the carpet. He was all nice about it, and I'm just like, you're too nice, man. Call him a freaking idiot.
Thing is, Pogba should have straight away said to Riola, why did you do that, you idiot? But as I said, Pogba and Riola, best mates.
Yeah, they're like that.
Riola gets paid handsomely to do everything to take care of his clients. So there's no way. Like I know Riola's has got a bit of a reputation of being a bit of a rogue agent, does his own thing a lot, but he wouldn't have come out and done an interview and said stuff like he wants to move, he needs to move, he's not happy where he is. Completely denounced the club and the manager that he's playing at currently. If Pogba didn't know about it.
So Ole's now 6-1 with the sack race, the fourth favourite to be the next Premier League manager to leave. Actually, he's just behind, and this would shock me if this happened, Mikel Arteta.
Funny.
Because Arsenal are not doing very well.
Yeah, wasn't that 15th? Is it?
They're struggling. They're just not playing very well. And I keep seeing like Mesut Özil as the answer to Arsenal's problem. No, he's not. No, he's not. Be real. Mesut Özil is not the solution to Arsenal's problems. He's part of the original problems that Arteta's trying to solve. Mm-hmm. That was the original problem. We've got... So who can replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? It's Poch.
I mean, the first name that comes to mind is Poch. But they'll have to be quick, because then if Zidane gets sacked, Real should go in for him. Personally. If I was Real
I'm just having a look. at the odds. So obviously Poch is favourite. I can't even say it. Massimiliano Allegri is the second favourite. Brendan Rodgers, third favourite. I don't think that would be a bad appointment. I don't think that's a bad appointment. I think
for Man United.
I think with the job that he did at Celtic and Leicester, he's kind of got rid of the stink from the job that he did at Liverpool, where he wasn't quite that good enough for that Liverpool job.
I don't get where this stink has come. This stink adjective. Yeah, it didn't go well towards the end, but he almost won his league title.
I mean,
he did very good.
That's fair criticism. That's a fair criticism of kind of the media kind of going, well, because that's the thing. Once you leave a top club, it's like, you got to get rid of the stink of kind of not doing well. But he actually didn't. Well, you lived through it. You were a Liverpool fan, so he did an all right job. He just wasn't at that level to be able. He's not a Mourinho. He's not a. I think
Leicester is the right place for him. And that's not me. I think Leicester are a very good club, and I think Brendan Rodgers is a very good manager. I think he's. I'm not trying to say that Leicester are a better club than Man United, but I think that
at the moment they're more stable.
And I'm not trying to say that Man United are too big of a club for him. I just think he can do. I think Man United's a bit like Arsenal, but probably a bit worse than Arsenal. It's just a bit of a cursed position at the moment because no matter what, you're straight away under scrutiny, and it's almost like impossible to do well. Because it's got to be perfect. Because as soon as one little jink comes up, as soon as there's one little kink in the armour, as soon as one little mistake happens, everyone, fans, pundits, media, all on your back straight away. Because, it's Man United, the biggest club in the world. Yeah. And I just think...
you got to perform from the get-go.
I'd like to think that any former Liverpool manager wouldn't go and manage Man United.
You know what? I bring it back to the Pochettino once saying that he couldn't manage Barcelona because he managed and played for Espanyol, and then when the job came up, he was like, "Well, maybe I could be persuaded. Maybe I could be persuaded." So I think loyalty, as much as the football romantics in the both of us would like that not to happen, I think loyalty's dead. And plus, they sacked him. He didn't leave after massive success. So as far as he's concerned, would he just be like, they got rid of me. It wasn't my choice to go. So why shouldn't I manage their biggest rivals?
Well,
but I don't think that would go through his head. I don't think he would care about that, to be honest.
I don't think he's that kind of person, Brendan Rodgers.
No.
Because when he was still managing us, I don't know if you heard. I think I'm trying to remember it right. Is that he? I think he went through a divorce. It was a bit of a messy divorce, so he's been through a bit of struggles himself. I think he's a genuinely nice guy. I think I'm a bit simple, mate, when it comes to people and managers and in positions. It's like, for me, you've got to be a good person. I like good people. Like, for me, apart from just his managerial capabilities, Jurgen Klopp's best manager because he's just the nicest guy around. Whereas Pep and other world class managers, Jose and that. Yeah, great managers in terms of football stuff, but just in terms of personality, Jose and Pep are like bloody dead rubber.
I mean, I was going to say Jose is the media favourite because he's meant to be box office special one, but he has kind of mellowed recently. He's kind of really ever since he joined.
He's got a bit cheery.
Yeah, he's kind of mellowed since he kind of came down a peg or two.
I prefer this Jose. I must admit,
when he come out and mellow older
constantly. When he complained constantly and do all the excuses in the world, I hate them.
Yeah.
Because I was like, come on, Jose, just admit you've been fairly beaten. And this was back even before VAR. Imagine if we had, Jose and Mourinho from those days with VAR.
Oh, goodness.
You wouldn't hear the end of it.
No, you wouldn't, to be fair. You wouldn't. I think, he's mellowed out. He's come down a peg or two because he's been offed by so many big clubs, and now he's the star of Paddy Power's adverts. So, their daily jackpot, by the way. Don't think you're special if you win it. That's what. It just keeps coming up on any YouTube video I watch is Jose Mourinho's Paddy Power advert. Massimiliano, I'm just going to call him Allegri. Would that be an interesting choice if they couldn't get Poch?
I mean,
or Rodgers?
I think if they. if Poch was still available and they couldn't get him, then that would automatically count as another failure.
Yeah, you'd have to question what the heck was going on if they couldn't get Mauricio Pochettino in.
Yeah.
Or maybe he'll go to
think,
them and say, "I'm waiting for Zidane to get sacked."
Well, they could do that.
Or Thomas
for
Tuchel.
me, I think Allegri is really good.
Yeah.
Maybe they might. I think he'd do well to sort the defence out, but then eventually the fans may be like, "Well, he's too defensive for us. We want to be attacking. You can't have the best unless you're the best players in the world. You're not going to have the best of both worlds in terms of attack and defence."
He's 6-1, by the way, to get the Allegri with Betfred, Paddy Power, and 11-2 with William Hill.
Yeah, to be honest, you've been linked with that and the Arsenal job, and he could do a good job of both because they're both terrible at the minute.
Yeah. Ralph Hasenhüttl is next. The Southampton manager, 16-1 with both. To be the Manchester United manager.
Oh.
After Brendan Rodgers, who's 9-1. Ralph Hasenhüttl was 16-1 with Betfred and Paddy Power to be the next Manchester United manager. Then it makes more sense going after him with the people below Ralph Hasenhüttl, because I don't know why you'd appoint him as Manchester United manager. Julian Nagelsmann, who's the current Leipzig manager, 20-1 with Betfred and Paddy Power, 33-1 with William Hill. And then Thomas Tuchel, PSG boss, 12-1 with both Betfred, Paddy Power, 50-1 with William Hill. I see Thomas Tuchel not surviving the season just because PSG have not. They're kind of, we talked about them doing a Tottenham and not qualifying from the group. They did in the end. They did in the end, but it was kind of, it was nail biting. Wasn't the most simplest, straightforward route considering they're in the Champions League final last season.
Yeah, to be honest, when I look at PSG, all I see is average players and then Neymar and Mbappe. And I think without one of them, or maybe, God forbid both of them, they're just a bit bank average. That's all I see, and they're just a bit boring because the other players don't do nothing. They a bit of run round. It's like get the ball to them two and then let them two do everything.
Yeah, and last season it was Cavani in that kind of role to get the ball to them, and now I know what you mean.
That's what I mean.
They're a one-trick pony. Well, a two-trick pony.
Yeah, to be honest, with the thing about him not lasting the season, I think from what I've heard, they're trying to tie Neymar and Mbappe down to new deals. Because I think after this season, Mbappe's got 1 year left, and if he goes.
Yeah, they're not going to be competing at the top end of European competitions
unless
you're talking about the Europa League.
Yeah, I'd like to see where Mbappe goes.
Yeah, well, in my Football Manager game, he ends up going to Manchester United. So let's not let that happen, please. No.
That's you can tell that's Football Manager because it's completely unrealistic.
Yeah, I could see him at Liverpool, but would Liverpool spend that kind of money?
Liverpool and Real Madrid are the only two he's been linked with from what I've seen.
Depends. It depends where he wants to go. Real Madrid are a bit of a mess at the moment, so if I was a player, I'd rather go to Liverpool because they're in a much more stable squad position at the moment. Whereas it's weird because the Manchester United are a bit of a mess. Barcelona are just a massive pile of mess. Real Madrid are a bit of a mess as well. Unless you're talking Liverpool are pretty solid at the moment, and Bayern Munich pretty solid as well.
Penalty to Everton.
Mm-hmm. I should put it on my phone or something so I can watch it. But we'll keep an eye on it. Penalty to Everton, apparently. Because I don't see where he would. Even Paul Pogba apparently wants to go to Real Madrid. That's his move out of Manchester United. And why would you want to go to Real Madrid? Because they're a bit of a mess. They might be the world's biggest club, but yeah, they wouldn't take him.
I wouldn't say. I can't think of any club that would actually pay the money to take Pogba. Why would you even do it? Because you bring in a player that is
he's overrated.
a negative influence to a dressing room, and then you bring in an agent that's a negative influence, destabilising, and it's makes it all about him. I'm almost fed up of waking up each day, putting Sky Sports News on, and it's always, oh, Pogba, 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 Pogba. I'm like, seriously,
He's the star of the
stop
show,
talking about
though.
him. He's not even a big name anymore. Stop talking about him.
Yeah, I
don't
agree
get what
with
the
your
obsession with him.
frustration. Yeah, I agree with your frustration, about it. But that is a definite penalty, by the way. He just clatters Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He just clatters him, the Chelsea keeper. He just
going back to the
straight into him.
Going back to the prospective managers takeover at Man United. When you mentioned Ralph Hasenhüttl, I was thinking, well, yeah, he might have ambition to go higher, but he's doing a really good job with Southampton. They've almost got a bit of a project going on. That's what it feels like. They've got a really good way of playing, and they're the best position they are now for a number of years now. He's pretty solid, but I don't think he'd go to Man United.
No, I don't think he would either. The Everton fans are happy. How many are there? What is it? 2,000? 2,000.
Yeah.
2,000.
Yeah.
To be fair, 2,000 people can make some bloody noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. It's fabulous. I've switched off at least they can now switch off that stupid pumped-in fan noise.
Yeah.
Oh, good penalty, though. 1-0 to Everton in that game. By the way, did you know that Carlo Ancelotti's last game in charge of Chelsea was against Everton? Because they just put it in Sky Sports Retro again, putting out the final interview that he had with as a Chelsea manager. He was kind of done dirty by Chelsea because he did a good job, and then they were in a bit of a free fall afterwards. Good manager, underrated manager. Let's leave the man who will be the next Manchester United manager. He's just Ole. I can finish it on this. Ole is just uninspiring.
Yeah.
Uninspiring in a situation that requires better.
Yeah.
He's just uninspiring. I think he wants to be their friend. That's what I get the feeling he wants to be.
But he wants to be their mate.
It's like, don't worry, Paul. Don't worry, you played badly, but don't worry, you know.
Don't you know what he calls them all? They've all got little nicknames. Rashi and.
That really bugs me as well.
Yeah, Rashi and all the others with the little nicknames.
Alex Ferguson never called him Solskjaer. He called him Ole, which is his bloody name.
Yeah.
He never came out and said
it's all fun and games, isn't it? In training, it's all fun and games. It's all let's hang around and have a nice day. But you got to thing is with a manager, you've got to have a firm hand, but you've got to show them you care. And
you see, for me, the maybe because I'm a fan of Brian Clough. I mean, if you don't play well, for me, you're out. You're out. Like I'd be ruthless, and I'd probably annoy a lot of the players and end up getting sacked because of that.
That's what I mean. The big clubs, you can't do that because there's egos you've got to manage. If you're just horrible to them, then they're just not going to like you. They'll kick you out themselves. That's
why you need to bring in young players that you can build your own team, get rid of the current crop out, and then just bring in your own players because you can kind of control the dressing room.
It's not as easy. It's easier said than done.
Yeah,
easier said than done. Get rid of them because players have contracts and they have agents. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think there's a free kick. Yeah, to be fair, there's a free kick to Everton. That your stream is ahead of mine.
I'm just watching the telly, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I'm just distracted. Oh, yes, off the post. Yeah, good shot. Oh, Pickford in goal. Great. That means Everton aren't going to win this.
Yay.
Raiola, by the way, well, let's move on to Pogba because we just mentioned Raiola and Pogba. By the way, I have no idea what's happening with their lawsuit against EA Sports. We talked about that a previous couple of weeks ago, and got no updates on that. They were unhappy with the use of like Zlatan and Bale's images in. It was all
ignore that. It's not going to happen.
No, I said at the time it would be dismissed because EA wouldn't
they'll
let
get
that
laughed out of
sloppiness.
court.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
pay money to have players' likeness.
Yeah, and as Simon Jordan said at the time when they were talking to Raiola on TalkSport, he said, "Well, if you've got a legal leg to stand on, you'd put in an injunction to stop EA from using those pictures for the time being while you sort out
they've been
something."
using their likeness for years and their name for years. Is he really
it's because he wants
his
fee. He wants his chunk of change, doesn't he? That's his.
Well, the thing is, it started with Zlatan, and the problem is that AC Milan are the new sort of partners for EA for this year's game for FIFA. So the club's ownership have said, yeah, you can use our players' likeness, you can use our stadium's likeness, you can use all our names and sponsors and that, and we get money for it. So EA have paid the money to do that. Well, Zlatan and Bale, well, I don't know where Bale's come in. So what? Because Zlatan said, "Oh, I don't like this." Bale's gone, "Oh yeah, let's jump in on it." Yeah.
Yeah, Bale he essentially went something like interesting or something like that. Something akin to what you just said.
Gareth. Shut up, Gareth.
I know. Even though the Premier League, as we explained it, their package is bought as a rights deal where it includes players, stadiums, clubs.
Yeah. Everything.
But talking about Raiola, he wants Pogba to move on. 18 months left on his contract. There is one of two ways, I thought, during the week that you could deal with this, and I would be a fan of both. You can either give Pogba a new contract, 3 years, keep him on similar money, put performance targets in there, and if he doesn't meet them, pay cut, and also put the condition that he has to sack Raiola as his agent, which is never going to happen. Or you do what Ole will never have the bottle to do, shove him in the reserves for the next 18 months and deregister him for the Premier League squad and treat him like Mesut Ozil because he's overrated. You got Donny van de Beek, who's a better player than Paul Pogba. I know they don't do the same thing, but they play in the same position. The only reason Paul Pogba is absolutely crap is because he doesn't have another midfielder like a N'Golo Kante to clear up his mistakes like he does in the French national team.
Oh, with that, right, just a little bit on that.
Oh, yeah, go on. Fire away.
Pogba, as you said, people praise Paul Pogba because of his World Cup performance, but then forget that Kante done all the running for him, right?
Exactly.
Well, what I don't understand is that a player's agent will come out and publicly slate yourself, the manager, and your club that you're coaching, and yet you still play him. It's like, it tells me, get him out the squad.
Yeah.
At the very bare minimum, get him out the squad. The fact that Pogba's come out and hasn't publicly said, I did not tell him, my agent, do this. I have told him in private, just saying I've dealt with it, and in private, he should have. But the fact that he's still like the thing is, Raiola's comments were the day before their most important match of the season.
Yeah.
Like that is a deliberate thing to destabilize the club when they really don't need it. And the fact that Pogba does nothing, and the fact that Pogba's still part of the squad and then is still brought on to play in the match, it's completely just showing a weak spine, a lack of willingness to actually back yourself. So Ollie's doomed to fail because he won't stand up for himself at all.
Yeah,
he's still going to play these players because he knows that. Raiola come out and said this because he knows that Ollie's still going to play him.
Yeah,
and from what I've heard whisperings online of people saying that Man United want Pogba to hand in a transfer request in January, but Raiola's saying not to do that because he'll lose his bonus. So that's all Raiola cares about, more money.
Yeah,
but then this whole situation, the only person that helps, the only person who gains something from this is Raiola himself. Pogba gets bad press, bad publicity. Man United, I don't think they're going to say that, this was the reason why they went out of the Champions League, but that's bad publicity for them. They become a bit of a laughingstock that players and agents are allowed to do what they want. And I get the whole thing of player power being the greatest it's ever been, but the club's got to stand up for itself. Can you imagine Klopp, Pep, or Jose, if one of their players' agents came out and said stuff? Can you imagine, the player to be straight out of the squad straight away? Zero tolerance for any kind of that crap.
I will say that Pogba did, that Mourinho on his way out of Manchester United did describe Pogba as, I think, vile or as close to cancer on his way out.
I mean, if that doesn't say everything in the most bluntest way possible, I mean, if you're describing someone who you've worked with, and on the way out you're calling them vile and cancerous, then what
Yeah.
does that? I mean, if you're calling someone
Yeah.
cancerous, you're basically
Not
saying
vile, a virus. Sorry, he
a
called him a
virus. We are,
virus,
but
not
still,
vile, a virus.
okay. So cancerous and virus. What's the common thing between them is that they spread
Yeah.
bad influence. That's what he's calling them. And if Jose Mourinho's calling them that, I mean, bloody hell, before he got sacked, that was every day was just the whole thing of the spat between Jose and Pogba. And it's like, really, concentrate on the football. If he's not playing well, don't let him play.
I mean,
And
deregistering. You
he
see
hasn't
what
been playing
Mesut
well.
Ozil's.
Bang average.
Yeah. You see what happened to Mesut Ozil at Arsenal. Make it happen with Pogba. I mean, Paul Pogba doesn't have the right to play football. I mean, he doesn't have the right to be. I mean,
Chosen for the squad.
yeah. I think Donny van der Beek was obviously signed just in case Pogba chose to leave, and we now know that he will.
The thing with Van der Beek is that he's come in £40 million, and you're thinking, well, he'll just go straight in. He's a better player than Pogba on current form. And then within a month, because he isn't playing at all, he's coming on with like 10 minutes ago in matches. His agent then comes out and starts saying things within a month of him signing joining the club. What does that say about Manchester United, where players' agents are coming out after a month?
I don't think it was Van der Beek's agent, though. I think it was an old
wasn't it?
Was it? I don't think it was. I think it was Marco van Basten.
What?
I thought it was
Marco said it was his agent.
Oh no, it might have been. Hey, you're probably right. To be fair, but
well, what does that say about Manchester United as a club?
I mean, they are in the weakest position possible.
The thing with Mesut Ozil is, I don't think it's about his agent or anything like that. That whole thing was that the way he plays, he doesn't track back. He doesn't work hard enough. That's why, what was his name? Emery stopped playing him. Yeah. And then when Arteta's come in, he's just completely not. I mean, the fact that he's not involved at all, not registered him at all in any of his squads, not even for League Cup, FA Cup matches, it says a lot. I mean, obviously, we're not privy to all the information, what goes on behind the scenes and what's been said behind the scenes, but he's been called, his, I'm not going to say his attitude, but his work rate when playing has been called into question with Pogba. I mean, he's got terrible work rate anyway. It's the whole thing. It's whole thing of like, obviously, attitude. The fact that the football man, all the media story is always based on him and his agent's comments, and never about the club and bettering the picture of the club. Because the club is bigger than him. Him and his agent like to think that they're the main. They've got to be in the spotlight all the time. Because good publicity, and it's good, got to get those Instagram likes and follows and stuff like that.
Go get that sweet dollar.
Yeah, it just makes things just concentrate on the football. That's what it's about. You're a football player because you love football, but it almost feels like he's far in love with the sport. But then,
yeah, I think I've seen many times where players love money more than they love the game, and you could argue that. Although I defended Gareth Bale at Real Madrid, you can argue there is an argument that he loved the money that Real Madrid gave him, but he preferred being on the golf course. I love Gareth Bale, so I'll defend him because I think Real Madrid, and I've said it before, their piss poor management fucked him over.
Yeah, I think to be honest, I think players have got to be given a chance. I don't think Gareth Bale was given the chance. He was just stuck on the bench and was never given a chance to prove himself. And yet, maybe some parts of his attitude wasn't, in terms of the golf course and that, and people saying that he never learned Spanish, when I've seen people saying, yeah, he did actually learn Spanish. I think players, if you feel like your player's got discipline issues, you got to give him a chance. Put your arm around the shoulder, be stern but encouraging, and say, look, either sort this out or you're not going to play. I'll give you another chance, but this is the last one. Zidane never gave Bale that chance. Pogba's been given, I don't know how many chances, and he's continuously proving himself to be bang average. He was actually a great player at Juventus. Came for the money, and because he's come back to his come back to United, but it's never worked out at all. He's never done anything. He's never lit the world on fire. Like people were saying, he's going to come. He's joined for £90 million. It was a British record at that point, I think. It was 2016, was it? I think it was a British
2015, 2016, yeah. I'm thinking it was a British record, yeah.
So he needs, 27 now? He's coming into his prime. These should be his best years, and he just seems to be getting worse and worse and worse.
I mean, here's the problem. He is the problem. His poor attitude. A manager with bottle would shove him in the reserves and make him train with the kids.
That's
what Alex Ferguson would have done. Well, Alex Ferguson got rid of him.
You wouldn't have any of these issues. You wouldn't hear anything from Raiola, because as soon as Pogba came into the club, if Alex Ferguson brought him back, you wouldn't hear anything from Raiola, because Alex Ferguson would have straight away got Raiola in his office with Pogba and said, right, this is how it's going to work. This is my house. You follow my rules. If you don't...
Yeah, you know what? The best example... And the best situation I remember when Wayne Rooney, like just after Boxing Day, went, I want to leave Manchester United, I'm going to hand in the transfer request in January, and then Man City's ears just perked up and went, we can sign him for Manchester United. And immediately Alex Ferguson just dealt with it. Got Rooney a new contract and then told him to...
new contract.
Yeah. And then told his agent to go F himself. So... you need that kind of character there, and Manchester United don't have that. They need somebody with, bit of bollocks.
It's why I find it funny when I see people, and not just United fans, just neutrals, say that Paul Pogba was a better player, midfielder than Jordan Henderson.
Oh,
and I just think, okay, well,
that's cute.
People think, Jordan Henderson is a bit boring, he's but I would have Jordan Henderson over so many midfielders any day, because, okay, Pogba may be more technically skilled than him, but in terms of an attitude and work rate and passion and commitment to everything about the club, he's just an infinitely better player. That's why he's captain. And so I just think... what Pogba's got to do, if he has talks and he wants to stay, he's going to sack Raiola straight away, because he's whispering poison into his ears, right? Get a new agent that actually wants to make Pogba, wants to look after Pogba himself rather than the agent himself. That's all Raiola cares about. More money for him, but he's got to, if he's committed himself, he's got to get rid of Raiola, get a new agent in. Maybe at the end of the season, once he said he has 18 months on his contract now, so at the end of the season, it'll be a year left. Maybe at that point, sign a new contract, and then prove to whoever's going to be the manager, if it's still Ollie, that you've had a change of heart, you've had a change in attitude, and you'll just infinitely be a better player. He himself will enjoy his football better, because it's going to be tough. If he actually puts his heart into it right now, he's not putting his heart into it. He's letting money and the agent talk for him. And he is, and that's the most annoying bit. I would say it's an unfortunate situation, but I know you're a Liverpool fan and you find it funny. I mean, I find my United situation a bit funny, but the thing for me is that they've got a player in Paul Pogba. He's got the ability. He looks bang average because of his lack of commitment, lack of effort. He doesn't seem to really... I look at him and just go, you could do so much more. He could run midfields if he applied himself. I think, to be honest, personally, I'm not saying this because I'd rather see him gone, is that he could then look at himself and go, you know what, I need to move on. I need to get away from the Premier League for a little while, better myself, reinvent myself, maybe. Because right now, unless something major happens, he's either, if a new manager comes in and has the bottle to put him in the reserves, or he's going to be sold for a lot cheaper than he was brought in, and he's going to be left with a lot less money at the end of it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I concur. He's I just liked Carragher on Monday where he said he was just overrated and he was tired of talking about him. Which I think is at the stage where we're at on this program. We are done talking about Paul Pogba. PSG and Istanbul Başakşehir. So they eventually did play their Champions League match on the Wednesday. Was a 5-0 win for PSG. Unfortunately, I wish that was the main talking point. Unfortunately, that's not the main talking point because the original game on Tuesday was called off for alleged... I say alleged. I've seen the videos. It is racism from a fourth official. So,
yeah.
What happened? So, I'm going to try and explain it as best I can. I know, touchy subject for a white guy to talk about. I know. So, essentially, it boils down to, the fourth official essentially saying a loose translation of what he said is send off this black guy. So originally they thought he said the word negro, but it was misheard because the word but the word for black in Romanian is negru.
Negru, yeah.
Yeah, so it was misheard, but then Demba Ba brings up the brilliant point of you don't say send off this black guy. You don't send off this white guy. You say send him off. So why don't you just say send him off instead of saying send off this black guy? I think
it's a bit weird this because I can see where that's coming from, and of course it's very if it's meant to be in the right context, it's meant to be insulting. Then absolutely got to be out. It's got to be out. It's right. But with this, I don't know exactly what happens, but the referee goes to his fourth official and says, "Who was it that was causing something?" It was one of the Istanbul coaches. What was his name? Something Weibo or something. The guy's name was. And the fourth official points over to the Istanbul bench, and I don't know. Maybe there's like 3 or 4 white coaches, and then the impairs. Weibo is the one black coach. And he said, "Oh, the black one." Now, of course, I don't think I get where they're coming from. I don't think he's meant it to be insulting. I think he's just meant to point out to the referee. Yeah, it's the black one.
I think we've all done it where we've talked about someone and go, "Oh yeah, the black guy." Yeah,
that's what I mean. He's not said nigger or negro as meant to be like offensive. Like, oh, he's different, he's bad because he's black. It's that. He said, oh, it's the black one. But then, of course, they've all got involved. And Bar said, well, why do you refer to, you always say, oh, send off this guy, not this white guy. Why do you have to say, this black guy? And I get where he's come from, but I think there's also the other side of it where, as I said, I don't personally think he's meant it to be an offensive
in a derogatory way.
Yeah, he's just meant to point him out as the person who looks different to the other coaches. It's a fact, and I get why they get offended by it. And of course, as I said, anyone who says it in a derogatory way should be absolutely punished for it. But when it's meant to just be to differentiate one person from another, it's a fact. It's not meant to be. And as everyone points out, even on Twitter, I seen John Barnes.
I was going to bring up John Barnes because I've got an article from the
I see him constantly having debates on Twitter, people who message him about racist things and black coaches in football and stuff like that. But even he on an interview said a Romanian's meant to change their language because they can't offend people and say negru for black. It's their language that you've used for hundreds, maybe thousands of years. He's not meant it in a derogatory way. He said negru as black. That black guy. He hasn't.
So the footage, I will just say that the official of the video of the fourth official, Ovidiu Hetigan, appears for him to say the black one over there, go and check who he is. The black one over there, it's not possible. Yeah, So to act like that, that's apparently what he said. And it was Weibo, the only Cameroonian coach with Istanbul Başakşehir, and he was shown a red card by the referee was Avidu Hitagan after the fourth official, Kolescu, was speaking out of turn. That's what they've put it down to. UEFA are doing an investigation, but as you rightly say, Callum, John Barnes has defended the fourth official who allegedly referred to the Istanbul assistant coach as the black one, insisting that was not racist. He's facing a 10-game ban.
Yeah,
the assistant.
It's like after the incident, I've seen people come out and going, "Oh, it's absolutely dreadful. There's fair play to." I mean, I'd say fair play to PSG for walking off as a sign of solidarity.
I mean, Istanbul were never walking back on, so I think PSG had no choice.
Had to. Yeah,
they had to because
they done it right after it, and it was seen as as an act of solidarity. They would have had to walk off anyway. I think what happened is that they were plans to try and get restarted late that night. Yeah, and it just never ends up happening, and they just
they just refused to. Because UEFA couldn't find a fourth official. Why do you even need a fourth official? You don't even need a fourth official. You don't even need one. Just tell the fourth official to get lost. Resume the match. But apparently UEFA couldn't find a fourth official replacement. It would have been interesting. My mind immediately, the cynic, would have gone, well, what if PSG had been winning 3-0 and Istanbul just went, no, we're not coming back on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What happens in that scenario? It was 0-0. So,
yeah.
But if it had been the scoreline, if the scoreline had been the following night's 5-1 and then they'd walked off, what would have happened? PSG would have stayed out on the pitch, I reckon.
Well, they would have had to. Well, I guess in that situation, UEFA probably would have give the points to PSG to credit as a win for them.
Yeah, and probably fined Başakşehir for leaving the pitch. So John Barnes on Twitter said, "Here is the coaching staff of Istanbul. One of them is going to be sent off." The referee asked the fourth official which one he sends off. "Can anyone tell me how he should identify him, as he doesn't know their names and they aren't wearing numbers other than the black one?"
Because he's pointing in their direction. Yeah. If the fourth official, the referee can't come over to him, and then they both go, "Yeah, that one," and he's like, "Well, you're pointing to the bench. Which one is it?" He picks a defining feature.
The one in the it's the classic white middle class go around of going, the one that might listen to R&B. Well, you just go into terrible stereotypes at that moment.
If there was a way of differentiating, the tall one or the fat one, or the skinny one, or the short one, if there's a way of doing that, but obviously I'm not saying this is the way it is, but if Weber was the only black coach on there, he wasn't pointing them out to try and call negative attention to him for being black. It was just a way of differentiating because he was the only black coach on the bench.
Yeah, and he was apparently causing a little bit of trouble on the.
That's what I mean. The referee was going to send them off for causing a bit of trouble.
Yeah,
but then they all think, here's an excuse to not send our coach off. Let's start taking offence at this. And look, I get why they do it, but I think there's got to be a bit of common sense nowadays. I think.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. As I said, if a black person hears someone say something about his skin colour in a nasty way, get offended, that's fine, because you shouldn't be made to feel that way about your ethnicity, right? But I think there's a bit of common sense being brought in. There's got to be a way of going, well, you've got to be able to say certain words in certain languages and not have it offend people, because you're going to get into a weird world of political correctness where you're not allowed to say anything because you're going to offend someone somewhere. And it's like that thing with what was the guy's name? Was it Greg Clark, the FA guy?
Yeah.
He said coloured, didn't he?
Yeah.
He said coloured, not gonna. He obviously resigned after it.
Well, but there's other connotations black, with if he had said black, he would have been fine. Yeah.
Would it made it better if he said black?
No, he'd have been fine. I think with the word coloured connotation, well, you're looking at two ends of the colour spectrum, like when you've got all the
black,
red,
white.
purple. Black and white are kind of at the end
purple skin, yellow skins.
Yeah.
I get that.
You don't have you don't have orange people walking around unless you're Donald Trump. He's the only orange person I know. That's more self-imposed, though. It's. I understand why the word coloured is offensive, but I don't understand why you can't just go, oh, the black guy or something like that. Why? Yeah. I guarantee you, within other races within groups of mates hanging out, they're just going, oh, the white guy. I guarantee you they do that because everybody does it.
Yeah,
it's not
that white guy. Yeah,
and to be fair. If he thought, because I think that the problem was the use of the Romanian word for black originally, and then Demba Ba came in.
It's negro, and then all I heard was negro.
Yeah, that's what they heard, because you could hear him say, "Did you just call me?" Yeah, and then you can hear the fourth official explaining that it's Romanian language. It's a miscommunication. It's mistranslation.
Negro is the actual correct term for a black person, and that it's obviously back during the KKK, and that it was all about NIGGER. That was when it got taken as that kind of word, and I think the thing with me is like I can say this because I'll use an example because I know people who are of this ethnic origin, and I'm good friends with them. Right? Remember when we were at university in Stoke? And I don't know about yourself, but I had, especially in second year, I had a lot of people of Pakistani origin. I was good friends with. If they were standing in a group, they were standing in a group of people, like three white guys and one Pakistani person, right? And someone I didn't know, I said, "Oh, point out the one person." And I'd be like, "Oh, what am I going to say? Say if they're all the same height, same size, What would I say? What would you say that wouldn't offend them?
Exactly.
The brown-skinned person. I mean, if you're gonna, catch tongue and say, "Oh, the person of the different ethnic origins, the other people, three people he's standing with," big sentence, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're gonna say
it goes to. I suppose it's.
What are you gonna say? It's not gonna offend them if you don't know them.
Exactly.
You're gonna say the. If you think if you know they're obviously of Pakistani origin, obviously they might be another country in that area, but you could say, oh, the Pakistani person, the person who isn't the white person. Yeah. But then if you say that, you then can, well, why are you differentiating me for these white people? You think almost in a way you could think, well, you think of me as less than white, these three white people, because you're differentiating me from them. And it gets into that world where you have to be so careful in what you say to any person ever. That, as I said, the thing with negro is that you're asking Romanian people. I don't know how many million people live in Romania, but you're asking them to change their language because you don't like what their word for black is. And the thing is, you call people of that origin, ethnicity, black-skinned. Because what else are you going to call them? Brown-skinned? Tanned? Not tanned, are they?
They're a different. There's different shades. It's like calling an Irish person pasty, because I've heard that before. I've been called pasty. I've heard of it. And I'm always annoyed. But I always get annoyed by that. But I just take it on the skin, or red skinned when we get sunburn.
Yeah.
No,
I
get
people
it.
Call me things. And
yeah.
I just like to point out that I have nothing respect for any people in the world. Treat people as you want to be treated.
Exactly. Don't be a dick.
That's why I feel I can say these things comfortably, because, as I said, if you're nice to me, I'll be nice back, regardless of what kind of person you are.
Yeah, don't be a dick. That's
that's
the rule of life. Don't be a dick. And to finish off this small point, big deal though. Midweek, it's John Barnes said that it's not racist to describe the offender as the black one.
In a negative connotation.
We are telling people to call us black. He doesn't know his name. There are 6 out of 7 coaching staff that are all Turkish. One is to be sent off. Ref says, which one? The black one. What else was he meant to say? Let the referee know. The one that isn't Turkish?
Yeah.
I mean, could have easily
he
have
might
said
be
that, but...
He might be a Turkish citizen.
Well, oh yeah, that is true. Oh god, you minefield.
If he says, that's what I mean. If he says, "Oh, the guy's not Turkish," the guy could come, "Well, I've got Turkish citizenship. How dare you say I'm not Turkish?"
Whenever I go to Ireland and anyone ever tells me I'm not Irish, it's a minefield, and I think we tried to tackle that as best we could. It is a minefield. Oh, talking about minefields, taking the knee.
Oh god.
It doesn't let up this one. So this was a story from last week that we missed. Millwall fans and Colchester United fans booed players taking the knee in their league matches when fans first returned to stadiums. Now, I am the first person to say that whenever the media want to take, and I know people don't like Millwall, but whenever the media want to stick the knife into football, they just go for Millwall. That's the first one they go for. They just go, "Oh, what are Millwall doing? Oh, their fans are rioting. Okay, let's publish that." But if it happens with, let's just pull a random club, Port Vale or something like that. Not that their fans ever do anything like that, or that we know of. But that'll never get published because it will never print. It will never sell. Millwall sells, as the Millwall fans would say, because they've got a reputation.
Yeah, of being
they've got a reputation of being assholes. They've got reputation, and that's why it's easy money for people to just print that bollocks about them. And I don't agree with it. To be fair, I don't agree with fans booing it, but it was gonna happen. Don't pretend like it wasn't gonna happen. Unless you completely live under a rock and are the biggest jackass possible, the biggest idiot possible, you could tell it was gonna happen. It was so bleeding obvious. All you had to do was go on Twitter and watch all the working class football fans talking about, it's a Marxist, movement. I don't like socialism and stuff like that. Obviously, I'm just taking the piss, but this is genuine. You go on Twitter and you see that, and this is a political show, but you could tell it was going to happen. So what the fuck, And then they what do they do? Link arms with the QPR match. So the Millwall Derby game, they took the knee and got booed. The next match, the following match, the Millwall QPR game, they linked arms and got applauded. And as many people pointed out on Twitter, well, then they're not booing because they didn't take the knee. And if they had taken it, I reckon they would have booed. And I think the media are just trying to move along to the next subject, and they're not trying to stay on this. And to be fair, this has come up time and again. And even when QPR initially stopped taking the knee, because they stopped doing it, because it's fundamentally, when I have these conversations, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's the American thing, isn't it?" Well, yes, but it's also kind of become an international symbol for that. It's like the Black Power salute. That was an American thing, but then that became an international symbol for that. There are many other ones that I can think of that I'm not going to mention because then I go into territory that I don't really want to. But I get why people boo it, because they're like, "Oh, keep football out of politics, keep politics out of football and stuff like that." Football is inherently political, though. It always has been. It always has been. So don't go pretending on your pretty little head that football isn't political. Football isn't political. Why did the Russians get the World Cup in 2018? Football's not political. We're going to fucking Qatar in 2022, Christmas time. Don't you sit there and tell me football isn't political? Oh, you can go fuck yourself. It is the biggest. Football is literally the world's biggest political football.
Yeah, I mean, what I think has happened is that it's the Black Lives Matter movement has become almost like thing that everyone wants to, because so many like celebrities and big names have kind of been doing things for it, to show their support. If you are against it, you almost become ostracized in the eyes of society. It's like, oh, you don't like this? Well, so many other people like it. Then something wrong with you. For me, it's like it was going to happen, as you said. Because people are always going to disagree with something, right? For me, like, if you don't support it and it doesn't concern you because you're not a black person, then just ignore. As I was saying to you before, just ignore it.
Yeah.
Just think nothing. Pause. Either pause the match if you watch it from home, or turn the telly off until they've done it, and don't let it concern you. There's much bigger worries in the world than thinking if players playing football and are taking a knee in support of a greater cause, right? And I get where they're coming from when he's saying, "Oh, don't make football political." But the thing is that these players have fan bases.
Yeah.
They have a voice a lot bigger than a lot of people. So when they say things and they do things, their actions and their words reach a lot of people. So they do it because they want the whole thing of Black Lives Matter, the whole purpose of, peace and equality and that, to reach as many people as possible. That's why they do it. Okay? Now, as I said to you, I'm all for peace and love and, make love, not war.
All right, John.
So I'm all for... Yeah, I'm going back to the 60s, mate. Getting peace necklaces out and everything,
Yeah.
But I just don't understand. Like, for me, it'd just be getting angry at it. Like, it personally offends you.
I mean, they've got to get angry at something now. Now Brexit's over. They got to get angry. It's going to be the little things now, isn't it? It's going to be the BBC. Then it's going to be taking a knee. Then it's going to be they dropped Rule Britannia from the BBC prompts. No, they didn't. They just didn't have people singing along to it because COVID. But yeah, it annoys the heck out of me. You know what? The one thing I saw, one of the other things I saw on Twitter was the right. I don't want to call these people racist, but I think if you're booing
narrow-minded
people trying to bring awareness to this cause, then I think the problem isn't with everybody else. I think the problem's with you there. I think you yourself need to go take a look in a mirror. That's the thing. But 95% of people would just ignore it. Lewandowski 23 or _23 on Twitch going sup pasty after saying that. What? Cheers, man. He just went sup pasty after we were talking about getting called pasty by.
Oh, right.
Yeah, good banner. Hey, man, how you doing? I just get this feeling that if you have a problem with it, then it's your issue. You just need to take a look at yourself in the mirror. I mean, eventually, the question is, what are you actually doing? Like, football is mostly disjointed when it comes to that, because the EFL have their own thing, the FA have their own thing, the Premier League have their own thing, the PFA have their own thing. Where's this one person that's going to go, well, if you guys work with them and you work with them and you all integrate your movements together and come up with one, because you've got the no room for racism thing with the Premier League. The EFL has you've got kicking out as well, which is its own separate thing. I can't remember what the EFL one is called. The FA with have kick it out, and then well, no, actually, the FA aren't with kick it out because they have their own thing. As I found out in the Anton Ferdinand documentary, and John Terry's still see you next Tuesday. Hate John Terry. Hopefully he'll never get a manager's job because, quite frankly, he's a racist. Allegedly. Although in a court of law he was found not guilty, but he was found guilty by the FA. I'm just pointing that out. That is what actually happened. But it's like...
what's funny, what I find funny, says it over there, is that these people who don't like, who were booing and that. That must mean that they don't like, well, it must mean that they're not thingy for players of different ethnicities. So if it was up to them, would they just want their player to only have what, white English players?
And exactly. That's what made me laugh about the Millwall booing, because my brother-in-law's a Millwall fan, and I spoke to him, and he just went, "Half our players are black. You're booing half our players."
That's what I was saying to you before we started, isn't it? Like, are they going to just be booing their own players?
I've been to Peckham. It is one of the most culturally diverse parts of London.
Exactly.
And that's generally where Millwall fans are from, them and Bermondsey. And generally, it's not really a massive, when you think of London, it's not a Cockney place. It's full of, well, you've got
loads of different groups of people.
Yeah, you've got your Somali fishmongers on the corner. You've got Nigerian stores. You've got... Yeah, you've got, and to be fair, by the way, Peckham, like that kind of, their food is just, you got so many cultures, so good. But I find it perplexing that a team that has, and to be fair, has always had quite a lot of black players because of the area that they're based, coming through their academy and ending up playing for the team, their fans can be. And you know what? Who I truly feel sorry for? It's not the players. It's the black fans of Millwall and Colchester United. Whose chairman has essentially come out and said, if you boo the taking of the knee, don't come and watch the games. I don't want you there.
That's right.
Which I've got to say, applaud to that. I understand that it's free speech. Oh, the one thing that I saw, and I've got to do this. I got to point this out. That it's subjugation, isn't it? If they take the knee, it's like when those England players went over to Germany and did the Nazi salute in the 1930s. No, it's not fucking subjugation. They're just using the picture of in the late 1930s when the England team played Germany and did the Hitler salute, the Roman salutes, just to appease the German government, and they're just saying, taking the knee is just to appease, the metropolitan elite that wanna ruin our game, and no, it's not. There's no conspiracy theories.
That epitomizes that sentence, that attitude, the way they have, just epitomizes the tribal mentality of football and football fans. It's why I can't stand watching England. So the majority of England fans have that mentality.
Yeah, they do, to be fair.
And it's so just disgusting and just hateful. I don't see the point of it. It's like we were saying about certain, like at club level. Of course, black fans who are feel like they're getting misrepresented as a whole, because they're being tarnished with the same label as people who are booing. But also, like, what happens if there's an academy player who gets, he does really well, shows those promise, gets called up to the first squad. Say if he is black, say if his parents or his grandparents came over here, comes on for his debut, right, and they bow, they kneel, and then their own fans start booing because of his skin colour. And I was thinking, well, it should never ever be about his skin colour. A player plays, poor players play football, especially at bit high levels, because they're good enough to play football at that level. Skin colour should have nothing to do with it. If a player's good enough, then support them because they play for your team.
Absolutely, And
these people have these biases, and it's how they. To be honest, it comes down to how they're raised. I'm not saying their parents are bad parents or whatever. I'm just saying that they're being raised with this attitude of not being open-minded, of having taking over the attitude of that their parents have had, of just ignorance and not trying
inherited ignorance,
not trying to broaden your horizons to actually speak to new people. Like, I feel so lucky that I've actually been able to speak to people of different ethnicities. I said, Germans and French people and Spanish people, and as I said, people of Pakistani origin, we've got different languages and different religions, and you find it just. I find it so good to actually speak to them because it gives you different perspectives, and you become more wise in a kind of worldly knowledge sense. I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's just it makes me scratch my head in both confusion and bewilderment when you see people actively, in public, through their actions of booing, like dismissing these people and this movement. So
I would like to see. Let's put it this way: Anthony Joshua is fighting tonight in front of 1,000 fans at Wembley. If he takes a knee in the middle of the ring, they ain't gonna fucking boo him. He's quite frankly, he's a bloody unit, and he'll beat the shit out of all of them.
That's what I mean. Every time I see him on the TV or radios, I just think, imagine him in a fight. Like, he would just he'd kill you.
He would just
like,
destroy them. He would destroy them.
He'd punch you and your brain just collapse.
So no one's going to boo Anthony Joshua if he decides to do it. So
that's an example.
And those guys that boo normally go watch the boxing because they like that kind of sport.
When you said that, it made me think of like Lewis Hamilton and Marcus Rashford, like black men who are British icons, who are loved for good reasons. It's like, will they get booed by those people who boo, when they take the knee, or when Lewis Hamilton wears a Black Lives Matter shirt when he's taking a knee at the start of a race?
Yeah.
Or say if Joshua
you wouldn't
tonight,
see that from F1 fans, no.
They're a bit more cultured,
I mean, you got to be middle class to want to watch F1, to be honest, but to be able to afford to go watch it, but. I mean, you wouldn't see it in rugby. I don't think you wouldn't see it in rugby union. I don't think you'd see it. You definitely you wouldn't. Cricket is an interesting one because that's a kind of a mixture because you get the drunk people that just want to have a good time. Class, like the darts, they wouldn't do it there because they'd get booed out the building, I reckon.
Yeah.
There are certain sports where you've got an image of them. Yeah.
Why is it only an issue in football?
What's going on in the Everton match? VAR is having a check. What are they having a check for?
For an offside.
Right, offside before he got into the box.
Yeah,
okay.
I think it was meant to be I think they give a penalty for Everton, but then there's an offside in the build-up.
It's Real Madrid 2, Atletico Madrid 0. I'm very sad at that. I'm very sad at that. I just want to get Zidane sacked. I just want to see him out of the work. I'm not saying he's a bad manager. I'm saying he's had it handed to him on a silver platter. And he's not a good man manager.
To be honest, even if he did get sacked, I don't think he's going to be too sad. He'll just go onto his yacht in Monaco or something.
I know that annoys me as well. But Real Madrid 2-0 up against Atletico Madrid. And to be fair, at least Zidane can go to the Real Madrid board. Well, if you get rid of me and bring in somebody else, we could be as bad as Barcelona. Which is a situation you really, really don't want to... It's not a situation you want to be in.
What I find funny, not really funny, but just a point I was just thinking about. Obviously, Real have kind of struggled a little bit since Ronaldo, Cristiano left. And then Messi hasn't even left Barcelona yet, and they're struggling. It could be, depending on what happens, that I don't know where Barcelona are now. I'd like 5th or 6th or something. They might not even make Champions League football.
I think there's something like I think it's rather drab for Barcelona. I'm trying to find the table. They're 9th.
Oh, Jesus.
They are 9th.
I mean, that just epitomizes the history of bad transfers that they've done. Bad, the way they ran the club. They need a major overhaul, and yet financially they're in the worst position they've ever been in.
Yeah. Actually, to be fair, they are in in one of the worst positions they've ever been in as a club. They are 9th in the table. Atletico Madrid are top, by the way. Real Sociedad are higher up in the table than Real Madrid and Barcelona. Now, I'm not knocking Real Sociedad.
A good team.
I know they do,
Especially that
and I'm
good
not
team.
knocking them. But
Guess who they were managed by? The mighty David Moyes.
Oh, that's why then. That's why.
He built the foundation.
He built the
got
foundations of that club.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He built the foundations of that football club. Weirdly, I watched a video on Pogba, and David Moyes had the opportunity to sign him and turned it down. When you get turned down by David Moyes, Pogba,
Pogba.
Pogba got turned down by David Moyes, just went, you know what? I'd rather sign Fellaini.
Well, the thing is, he got offered Pogba, Thiago, who we got now, and you went, no, I'm bringing in Marouane from Everton.
Well, to be fair, he knew Marouane, so he knew how good he was, or how reliable he was.
Good relations with him.
Yeah, good relations. Yeah, bring the wife over. Movie night. Movie night around his place. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, but that's David Moyes, isn't it? But
that's David Moyes to a T.
Honestly, I almost think that Barcelona could do with sell Messi just to get some money. The amount of money they'd save by not having him on the books.
Well, that's true. They should.
It was like £1 million a week wages.
They should also stop buying players that are around that are in their late 20s, early 30s
for $100+ million,
for $100+ million, or for ridiculous money, and start buying in younger players.
Yeah, what I don't get is that they had a young Brazilian midfielder, Arthur, who they've basically done like a swap deal with Juventus. Now Arthur was like 23, 24. And they then brought in Milan Pjanic, who's like 31, and they've ended up having to spend more money, like in the deal. And I'm like, you've sold one of your young talents for. And I'm not gonna say Pjanic's a good player, but he's 31. He's not long term.
Antoine
Griezmann,
maybe 3 years out of him.
Yeah, Antoine Griezmann is 29 now. He bought him like a year ago, 27, 28, for like 120 million. Well, I think like 110 million. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. They let Luis Suarez go to Atletico. So I don't know why I've done that, but they've just made a lot of questionable decisions. One thing I do find I like doing, what I'm saying about Koeman?
Yeah.
When you see him doing his interviews in Spanish, love it. I don't know why, I just really like the sound of him speaking Spanish.
Oh. Well,
because obviously he learned it, didn't he, when he was playing there?
I mean, yeah, he is an ex-Barca player, so he does.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But that's what I mean. So he's really, really fluent. I don't know why. He just sounds really good. Sounds like a local.
According to this article in Give Me Sport, they're reporting that Barcelona, Lionel Messi, star is alone in the dressing room after making teammates feel undervalued. That doesn't surprise me.
He's spit his dummy out. He's going to go start dissing his teammates.
Here's the thing, everyone thinks that Ronaldo's the prima donna, but I genuinely think Messi's more of one.
It's always the quiet ones you've got to be wary of.
Yeah. Because Ronaldo's quite in your face. He's very much in your face.
Yeah.
Whereas Messi's much more...
Messi's kind of like a backstabbing one.
Yeah.
He'll say things behind your back.
Yeah, he'll so he's still good. He's still their best player by a mile, by a country mile.
He's 33 years old.
Yeah, and he shouldn't be their best player. They should have brought in this is where they need Neymar.
They have got some good young players.
Yeah, but
Ansu Fati, what's his name, Trincao. They've got good young players, but they're still relying on Messi to be their go-to.
I mean,
they never should have got rid of Neymar.
No,
they never should have got rid of Neymar.
They never should have broken up MSN.
He was still young when he left. Was it 26? Yeah. He was.
But didn't he want to step out of Messi's shadow? That wasn't that the.
Yeah, he did.
Wasn't that the bit? So that's. I mean, Barcelona could have just.
Maybe when Messi leaves, he could go back to Barca. But then he said, hasn't he, that he wants to play with Messi again?
Which is so backwards in my mind, because he wants Messi to go to PSG.
He left Barca to basically be the main man, and now he wants to play with Messi again. I'm like, why?
I think he knows he's better than Messi now. I think he thinks. Let me make myself makes sense. I think he thinks in his own mind that he is better than Messi. I'm not saying he is better than Messi. I just think he thinks that.
I mean, when he actually decides to show up, Neymar is amazing. When I've seen him play,
the third best player in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd say. Yeah, you look at him and probably a group of others who are.
I mean, we've had conversations about it in the past, and a reasonable case would have been made for Gareth Bale before going to Real Madrid that he was the third best player in the world and stuff like that. So it's always a conversation because no one's ever at the level of Messi and Ronaldo.
Yeah, his first year at Real he was like third best.
Yeah,
but then you could say give a conversation to a couple of players in certain periods of time. Like for me, it's Messi, Ronaldo same level, and then you come sort of take a big jump down. Then you got Neymar, and then so just below him you've got what we're talking about. Yeah, Bale when he was when he was leaving Spurs first year of Real. Eden Hazard before he moved to Real. For me, right now, obviously I'm going to be biased on it. Sadio Mane, Mo Salah, for me.
Great combination.
But then you go on Mbappe and you go on Lewandowski and De Bruyne. You go on them kind of people. Obviously, different positions and that. So of course, me, I'm going to be biased and I'm going to say Virgil van Dijk, but defender, different role. So
I was going to say he's not very good at the moment, but that's because he's injured.
No, that's because T-Rex arms here.
Pickford, decided.
I mean, it's kind of funny. Just make the point on that. Sorry, I'm going way off the tangent.
Go for it.
When in that match, in that derby, right, Jordan Pickford did not even get booked, right? Let alone sent off, not even booked because in the build-up, Virgil van Dijk was deemed offside. Okay, so therefore the foul was just, they're not going to look at the foul because he was offside, right? I'm like, it's stupid, it's wrong, but okay. But in midweek, when Liverpool drew against Midtjylland, right?
Mm-hmm.
Midtjylland got a penalty, but in the build-up, right, it was initially shown, the build-up initially was booked as an offside. So it's like, okay, then everything after that should be, VAR didn't even look at the offside, whether it was offside or not. They straight away went to monitor and went, oh, was it a foul or not? And I was like, well, if he's offside, then any foul doesn't matter, does it? If you're going to be consistent with it. Oh, but wait, that's the thing, isn't it? Referees, and I'm going to swear, crap referees. I could say so much worse. And their inconsistent BS. I'm not going to go into VAR. I don't think it's VAR's fault. I think it's the idiots who are meant to be trained and paid handsomely to officiate matches because they're so inconsistent and they have the rules set in place to be used, the exact same rules every match, and yet they're all doing what they want to do, their own interpretations of it. So I'm just saying this because I believe that, and I'm going to be biased. I'm going to say Liverpool have been treated unfairly this season by referees, but just in general.
I think the Pickford one is it was bad that there was no retrospective action from the Football Association. I thought that was quite bad because I don't think it was malicious on Pickford's. I don't think his intent was malicious. But I think retrospective action needed to be taken there. But it wasn't because maybe, I'm just going to allege because he's England number one.
Well, we've already spoken about, haven't we, with England's sweetheart and ever. We've already spoken about that. I saw a thread on Twitter yesterday, and it was like, when should Harry Kane be punished for the way he backs himself into players and buys fouls? And I'm thinking, because eventually a defender or someone is going to end up with a bad injury. Could break someone's neck if they fall wrong. Because these players are high up, they're actually doing what they're meant to be doing, which Kane doesn't, which is actually jumps challenge for the ball. He just looks at them, takes his eyes off the ball completely, looks at them and goes, yeah, back into them. He, knocks basically the feet out underneath them and makes
And
them
then they go
fall
boom
on back.
over.
Makes them fall.
Yeah.
He basically the vertical in the air. He basically changes them so they're knocked into like a horizontal way, and they fall on the back or something. Or they fall on the stomach. If they fall badly and their head goes first.
Yeah, if they land neck first, then
If they land
they're
neck
screwed.
first, that's a neck break. That's a
They're screwed.
paralysis. Anything.
Yeah.
But then nothing happens. No, because apparently it's smart.
It's smart
Paul
play.
actually
Yeah, we've had this
said,
conversation.
Is
Yeah.
it bad that he does it, or is it smart forward play? And I was like, are you kidding me? Like,
Smart forward play when it's English.
yeah.
Dirty,
If another forward
dirty
did that,
cheat if it's not.
yeah. If another forward did that, he'd be punished straight away. Because he does it so many times now.
And
it's just wrong for me.
Yeah. Go back to Barcelona though.
Yeah.
Apparently Bayern want to sign De Jong, but Barca won't sell. Reportedly that Bayern out of nowhere reportedly want to sign Frankie De Jong from Barcelona, and it seemed to with Barca's financial problems, Munich's offer to Barca is reported by ESPN to be around 70 million euros.
No, it needs to be higher than that,
So apparently Barcelona will reject this if a bid is made, but Bayern Munich remain interested in signing Frankie de Jong, source told ESPN.
I mean, you know what? He'd be a perfect replacement for that Thiago-shaped hole in the base net midfield. If Bayern got him in there, ooh, yeah, I'd like to have a look at that if I was Bayern, because he fits. He reminds you just a bit more of just a Dutch Thiago, and we've seen how good Thiago was for them Champions League last season. I'm just gutted that we basically, we're basically signed Thiago in January because we haven't even bloody seen him play properly yet.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so when he got injured by Richarlison in that derby, he hasn't played since then. Apparently, he's not going to be back till January. So
Well, a January signing.
He's going to be a proper January signing, yeah.
Yeah. Forget the January transfer window. We got Thiago. Apparently, according to this article, there is less than a 1% chance that he will leave Barcelona. De Jong, that is, for Bayern Munich. But it does also say that if FC Barcelona do not start selling some assets soon, it will be facing some very severe, if not devastating, financial constraints, as we've said. And apparently, Lionel Messi's alleged 28 million euro salary is apparently a little steep for Barcelona.
Yeah.
So
it's
what?
Basically £1 million a week.
You remember all those years ago, there were rumours that Manchester United were going to go into administration because of the Glazers. Do you reckon that could happen with Barcelona? Do you reckon they could enter? Because we talk about
if they did nothing,
too big to fail.
But the thing is, they're worth that much, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're all fan-owned. Barcelona.
I don't know.
I don't know. I thought it was supporter-owned.
I think they'd probably be bought out. I don't think La Liga would let it happen.
Yeah.
I think La Liga would do something to orchestrate a buyout to pump some money into it, make sure it didn't go into administration. It's too big of a club for La Liga, and like Spain and whole, like Spain's economy probably has a big thing with Barcelona as well.
I mean, you
wouldn't let it go into administration. Yeah, that's what I mean. In Catalonia, then you have Espanyol's the main team, yeah. The only team. I just don't think it's going to happen. Like, I mean, the way. Obviously, there's been this sort of support package that the Premier League has done for the EFL clubs. Has any of that happened? Is anything like that happened in any other European leagues?
No, I'm not. I'm not entirely sure.
Because you think you'd probably hear more about how. I mean, obviously we're here, so we only hear about English clubs mostly. But you reckon in Italy, Spain, France, Germany, they're sort of second tier, which is financially much worse off than the Championship. Um, you think they'd start be having troubles, wouldn't you? A lot more of them would start going. What I'm basically trying to say is you're going to see probably a couple of lower league clubs go bankrupt before Barcelona, I'd say.
I've just found an article that Spanish FA lends financial support to La Liga with package worth 500 million euros. That puts our government to shame.
For? What's that? 500 million for what?
So the Spanish FA will lend 500 million. Oh, sorry, it came from the FA, not the Spanish government. Okay, all right. So let me clarify
the Spanish
that.
Football Authority.
So the Spanish Football Association will lend 500 million throughout a bailout package to avoid clubs going bankrupt.
Why didn't the FA do that?
Because the FA are
selfish and spiteful
don't have the money because they use their money poorly, conservative, and don't want to use the money.
So why didn't the Spanish government say, okay, all you owners of you La Liga clubs, you need to put a support package together for the lower league sides?
Well, 4 of them are owned by their supporters. Real, Athletic Bilbao, and Osasuna and Barcelona are all owned by their fans. So, what would you would argue? Like, we don't have that in this country. We don't have support. Well, we do have supporter-owned clubs, but none of them are at the top level. All of them are. All of them at the, Manchester United will never be owned by its fans or anything like that. You're never going to get that. So the Spanish FA stepped in to offer them a support package.
Thing is, the only way Man United's ever going to be bought out is if they can put like 3 or 4 billion.
Yeah. Insane money.
Yeah. Fans would never be able to get that amount of money, even if every United fan in the world put money into it.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at Italy now. I don't know if they put they had a COVID support package, but I don't know if it includes sport. I don't think it does. But obviously it depends on the national government. I think the German government didn't do it because they wanted clubs to be. I think they wanted the Bundesliga to support them, and which is kind of what the British government wanted the Premier League to do, but the Premier League wanted to keep all its money. But eventually they had to. But you know what I found weird was that the Scottish government is giving their football league £30 million, and non-league football got 25 million in England. So
that says it all, doesn't it?
It just they couldn't even be bothered to give League One or League Two anything. They couldn't be bothered. 5 minutes of added on time. We're just gonna monitor the Everton. This is a good win for Everton.
Mm-hmm.
If it lasts, that is.
Well, I said I'm a bit ahead of you, so I'm in the halfway through the 93rd minute.
Still 1-0.
Still 1-0, yeah.
And an advert just comes up on my stream next Saturday. Crystal Palace and Liverpool. I think I'll give. As I've said, next I'll go through the fixtures, but the next week's fixtures do not inspire great confidence. They do not inspire great confidence in me. I've got to be perfectly honest with you. I'm gonna go watch the AJ fight after this. I'm gonna find.
I'm not paying £25 for box office.
Yeah, I'm going to find a perfectly legal way to watch the AJ fight, which is what you should do. To be fair, I'll probably end up watching it. I'll probably just watch the highlights tomorrow. I probably won't actually watch the fight. Where would that? We'll have a look at the league table. But where would that take? Everton have been a bit. Recently. They've just whatever made them so good at the beginning seems to have been lost.
That just epitomises their club. That epitomises Everton.
Run with this. Run with this. So what do you mean by that?
well,
Just that they're a mid-table and average team.
yeah, they're just a bit average. Like they used to be under David Moyes, they were consistently, best of the rest. Seventh, sixth.
Yeah, they were the seventh or sixth
Yeah.
best. They were there with Aston Villa.
That's what I mean. They were consistently up there,
Yeah,
solid. No, nowadays,
yeah, they're a bit kind of all over the shop.
yeah.
I reckon they'll still finish in the top 7. I reckon
With
they'll
this
finish
result, I'll say, and I've seen it online as well.
Chelsea
Steven
fan.
Gerrard's a better manager than Frank Lampard.
I gotta be honest. I don't watch a lot of Rangers. as the world's
They're
biggest
unbeaten
Rangers
this season.
fan.
They're unbeaten.
Fair enough.
He played like 32 matches, 28 wins, 4 draws or something.
But then I've got to argue that who have they got to play against? Celtic are in disarray. I mean, Hibernian look good, but who else are they playing in Scotland? Chelsea have to come up against. They've got to come up against Carlo Ancelotti's Everton. They've got to come up against Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. I know, I'm clutching at straws with that one. Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. They've got to play Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. I know, I'm clutching at straws again. Manchester United. They've got to play City under Guardiola. They've got to play Arteta's Arsenal. There are more challenges in the Premier League than Rangers have in the Scottish Premiership. That's like Rangers in Scotland right now is like having even this dire Manchester United team in the. I was going to say the Championship. Let's say League One. just to reassure my confidence in that statement.
Well, I'll just say it because I'm biased. I'll say because I'm biased. I fair him as a player. I'm fair as a manager as well.
Fair enough. Future Liverpool manager, maybe? Or should he not do that?
Or one who I also like as well is what's his name? Who's managing Leipzig at the moment?
Nagelsmann,
Julian Nagelsmann.
Yeah.
One of them. Yeah, I prefer him. Young.
1-0. Thank you, Callum Brown, for joining me today. Next week is our last show before Christmas. See you then. And by the way, this is Callum's last show before Christmas, so I should wish him Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
You too, mate. You too.
See you, man. See you next week. Bye.